Hey, welcome to an LA Life podcast. Today is April 19th. We're more than halfway through with April. Good stuff going on here. Hopefully, things are good in your life. Things are going well for you. It's going to be a great day for us here in the big town of LA. Sun's going to come out for a while. Pretty excited about that around here. You know, for us, this is the time of year that we get storms, and we had some come through here about a week ago, and they weren't great at all. In fact, we had uh, area just south of us that had a tornado go through and high winds, and they lost people lost houses, and really things were destroyed. And so that's our area right now. Is we get storms in April and May, and sometimes they just pop up. Like we can have some really nice days, really warm weather, and then the weather changes a little bit, and we get these storms. In fact, we had one this last week where things were coming across the TV and on the radio and on your phones, and they were telling you to take cover and go to basements and different things like that. And I hate to tell you, but like most, I stayed on my couch and didn't really move, and I just kind of watched to see what was going to happen. But that's where we're at. We get storms, and they happen this time of year for us. And then what we do after the storm is we come together and we talk about the storm, right? That's what we do, right? It's that whole old question of, hey, how's the weather? You enjoying the weather type of thing. But we, after the storm, we get together and we talk about the storm. And so that's what I want to look at today. And if you're following along in our Quest 52 book, you should be somewhere around week 15. And that depends on what you did with the whole Easter season. You may have gone back, read some different things, but you could be somewhere around week 15 today. And in week 15, the author, Mark Moore, asks the question, can Jesus turn my storm into a story? Can Jesus turn my storm into a story? And so that's really kind of the question as well, is after a storm hits in life, do we talk more about the storm or do we talk about Jesus? So let me pick up in Mark chapter 4, the very last story in Mark chapter 4, and it's been a long day of teaching for Jesus. In Mark 4, he covers a lengthy section of teachings from Jesus. And so Jesus gets in a boat and he takes his followers, and they're going to go across the Sea of Galilee, and they're going to go to the other side. And as they're in the boat, here's what it says: and a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat so that the boat was already filling, but he was in the stern asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? So you understand what's happening. They're gone. They're leaving. They're in a boat. They're going across the Sea of Galilee. Not a long trip, but they're going across. A storm comes up, begins to flood the boat, and a group of fishermen. Remember, some of his followers were fishermen. These guys are afraid. They're scared, and Jesus is sleeping. And so they wake him up. Perhaps not the best question. Waking him up is good, right? They go to Jesus in the storm. But then they say, don't you care that we're perishing? Listen to what Jesus does. And he woke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. In the Greek, that peace be still is really translated silent, no more. I'm going to just say, basically, Jesus looked at it and said, shut up, right? I mean, he's the creator is greater than the creation. And he looks at the wind and the sea and he says, shut up, be done. No more. And it obeys him. And then Jesus asks this group of followers a question. And he says, why are you so afraid? Why are you so afraid of the storm? Why are you so afraid of this? Don't you have any faith? And then it tells us in verse 41, they were filled with great fear and said to one another, who then is this that even the wind and the sea obey him? They go from being afraid of the storm to now having a fear in Jesus. They have this great fear, which is a good thing. They recognize the power of Jesus. All right, stay with me. Chapter 5. I'm not going to read all of 5 to you. They finally get to the other side. And when they get to the other side, listen to what it says. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart, and he broke the shackles in pieces. No one had strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, He was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. This guy's having a bad day, bad week, bad month, bad year. The storm in his life has overtaken him with demons, and it's not good. But listen, here's what's great. Listen to verse 6. This is a key verse for me. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him. Let me just say it again. This guy's having we'll just say a bad year. Storms of life have hit him. Demons have come into his life, and it's not good. And when he sees Jesus in his storm, he runs to him and falls down. The disciples in a boat, when a storm comes in their life, what do? They go wake Jesus up. They go to Jesus in the storm. We need help. Now, their question may not have been as good. Don't you care about us? But they found Jesus in the storm. This demon-possessed man sees Jesus from afar and runs to him. You're going to have to read the rest of the story a little bit here. I'm going to skip ahead because you get a story about the guy's name. Jesus takes the demons and puts them into pigs, and the pigs go run and drown themselves. People get really upset about pigs dying, even though a human's life was changed. But that's another story for another day. Let me pick up in verse 14. The herdsmen fled and told it in the city and in the country. Here's what's going on. When Jesus gets to the other side, these herdsmen, perhaps taking care of the pigs, perhaps taking care of something else, see everything happen. They see the demon-possessed man come down. They see him fall at the feet of Jesus. Excuse me. They see Jesus send the demons into the pigs and die. And so they run into the town and they say, you guys got to hear what happened. And it says, and people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had the legion sitting there. He was clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. You can see this fear theme in here too. And those who had seen it described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man and to the pigs. Key verse 17, listen to what happens. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from their region. Think about this for a minute. Their storm and their fear was, oh my goodness, this guy just killed pigs. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? We're afraid. And what do? Instead of running to Jesus and saying, help me, they look at Jesus and say, we want you to leave. Get away from us. We're not interested in your help. You know, here's what happens. In church, we should be careful of this. I say church. I don't know if everybody goes to church. But, you know, when you ask Jesus to leave, he may just leave. Verse 18, as he was getting into the boat, hey, we don't want you here. Get away from us. Get out of here. We got these storms of fear, and we don't want any help from you. Leave. He leaves. Again, be careful when we ask Jesus to get out of the storm of our life. He may just leave. But let me finish, verse 18. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed with demons begged him that he might be with him. So this guy's life is now changed. And he's like, Jesus, I want to stay with you. Can I go with you? Jesus says, no, you can't. Verse 19, and he did not permit him, but said to him. Seems a little mean of Jesus, but it's actually not. Jesus says, no, you can't go, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. You had a storm in your life that was pretty ugly and pretty bad. I want you to go home and I want you to tell people not about the storm. I want you to go tell them about what I did, about how I helped you and how your life has changed. What does this guy do? Verse 20, and he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis, that's 10 cities, how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. There's a lot of stuff this morning, but I want you to think about this real quick. When the storms of life hit, are you talking about the storm or are you talking about Jesus? When the storms of life hit and we have fear and we're afraid, are you running to Jesus? The disciples went to him. The demon-possessed man ran to him. But when the townspeople had fear, they told Jesus to get out of here. Leave. We don't want you. So it's kind of ask that question. When the storms hit, are you running to him and asking for help? Or are you telling him to leave and get out of your life? Listen, Jesus has a better story to tell in your life. And that's what he told the demon-possessed man whose life was changed. No, you can't come with me, but I want you to go back home. Go to your friends. Go to your places of work. Get into your schools, right? He didn't say it quite that way. But he says, go back into your life. and tell people what happened. He does that. He does that very thing. He goes back and has a better story now. And it says people were marveled at the story. We get over into chapter 8, and we actually, Jesus comes back to that area, and we get the story of the feeding of the 4,000. We believe that it's possible that because of this guy's story, better story, that we have others coming out now to hear about Jesus. It's really that simple, I think. Storms of life are going to happen. Are you going to talk about the storm? Or are you going to talk about Jesus and what he did for you in the storm? There you go. There's your midweek teaching today, LA Life Podcast. Love you guys. Hope to see you this Sunday, 9 o'clock, 10:30. We're here. If you can't make it to LaFountain Christian, there are other places in our area. Other churches are going to be meeting on Sunday morning. I just want to encourage you, find a place that you can belong and be a part of. Love to have you here, but there's some other places that you may need to call home as well. Love you guys. Have a great day.